today I'm going to talk about networking, and mostly networking in a virtual world. And I will be comparing it to networking in general, but pretty much it's going to be networking in a virtual world because that's where we are right now. And we're on the Spark, and I feel like the Spark is all about relationships. It is not your typical video game. It is not your typical Zoom call. It's not a social network in the sense of Facebook or anything like that. The Spark is about building relationships, and that's what it takes in order to grow your business, especially now when you can't just bump into people and it's just harder to do business with COVID, and I don't think that's going to change because more and more people are going to be doing things virtually, and even after the virus is not an issue or as big of an issue anymore, people are going to stay online. They're still going to be networking this way, and so I want to talk about some of the concerns that people have with networking. I'm going to talk about the ways that people network and the things that are important to them. I'm going to talk about mistakes that people make when they network. But most importantly, I'm going to talk about the challenges that a lot of people have with networking and how you can overcome them, and how the Spark is really the ideal place to do that. So Allie and I were talking this morning, and we were talking about some of the concerns that people have, and whether it's their first impressions or they're just not comfortable talking to people, they don't like talking about themselves, they're not good at sales. I mean, we all have our own ideas of in our heads of what it is that stops us from being an effective networker. I have too, and there are times when, even though I love to network and I love people, there are times when I just don't feel comfortable in a certain group. One of the things that I noticed about the Spark is that because you're an avatar and a voice, a lot of that barrier that would normally be in front of you of literally talking to someone one-on-one and seeing their face and seeing their facial expressions and everything and them seeing yours, that's gone. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter what you're wearing. I mean, none of that matters. There's no first impressions other than, are you acting professionally? Are you acting in a way that is going to help the other person in a way that they are going to want to interact with you? And so you don't have to feel like it's a competitive environment anymore. Why is it not competitive? Because you know that everybody who's here is here to do business. They're here to network. It is a networking place. It is a business camp. It's a business resort, you could say, because it's got a little bit of everything here. And even if people are playing on a soccer field or going for a boat ride instead of going to a workshop or a seminar, they're still here to network. Excuse me. And, I want to stress this. It only takes one person to trust you and to open doors. No matter where you're networking, no matter what you're doing, no matter what your business is, it's really all it takes is one person to trust you, who's willing to open doors. Your goal is to earn the trust, is to find 5 or 6 people trust you, earn, and then make it clear as to who it is that they could introduce you to, and make them willing to do that. A lot of people come to me and ask for introductions to people in the music industry, in the film industry, in business, and I can't make that introduction because I don't know them. And if I make that introduction, I'm putting my network, or I'm putting my relationship and my credibility on the line. If I make an introduction and then somebody messes up that relationship, that comes back to me. Oh, you're the one that brought him to me, and I don't ever want that. So I want to I want someone to earn my trust enough that I can open doors for them. I love to open doors for people. That's what I do. That's what I do best. It's one of the things that I feel like I'm strongest at, connecting people. And when you get to a networking environment, there are a lot of people who are like that. They just need to know that they can trust you. And so that's what you're going to be doing here on the Spark. And you're going to be doing it elsewhere as well. You're going to be building relationships. You have to know how to take everything that you would do on a in a physical environment and translate it into a digital environment. So you still have to build relationships. We try to do it on Facebook, we try to do it on LinkedIn. You even try to do it on dating apps. I mean, there are a lot of ways that people network online, but there are some keys to it, especially in this environment where it's not somebody just reading about you. You're actually able to initiate a conversation, or they're able to initiate a conversation. So I'm going to go through some of the things that will help in that process. So I think it's really, really important that people understand that you have to be ready for networking. First of all, this is not as much as it is an impromptu place to come, and you can do it any time of the day, any time of the night. It doesn't make sense if you're not ready. And so what does that mean? Well, first of all, you should know that first rule of networking to me is always to give before you receive. And that is a rule that will absolutely turn your life around. It'll turn around the relationships. It's what earns that trust. When somebody says, or when you're talking to somebody and you're asking them about them, people love to talk about themselves, whether they want to admit it or not. They love to talk about themselves. If you're asking, they may not feel comfortable just coming out with it and just blurting out, this is who I am. But if you're asking about them and you ask the right questions, it's going to be really, really easy for you to have that conversation. So what are some of those questions? Well, you should have an icebreaker, first of all. Use some kind of an icebreaker that when you walk up to somebody, you can get their attention in a professional but in a kind of a disarming way. Mine personally is, you look like somebody important I should know. To me, that gets a chuckle every time. And people will yeah, that's me, or no, I don't know. It doesn't matter. I've broken the ice. They chuckle a little bit and they go right into, well, I am, and they tell me who they are. And then it's a matter of asking a couple of questions, and I just want to dig a little bit deeper with them. And so I will often, listen to what they're saying, and then I'll say, so what do you need next? Which is a question that a lot of people don't ever get, and so they don't think about it. And what I find is a lot of people are out of sequence when they're networking. They're asking for something when there's other things before that would be really beneficial for them. And so I'll give you an example. You can be a realtor and you're talking to somebody who's a realtor, and they may be saying, I'm looking for customers, and that, but there could be other things that they would need. For instance, they might be looking for a club that they can join to find customers. So, you want to dig a little bit deeper. In fact, one of my questions is, besides customers, what do you need next? That usually really gets them. That lets them know that you are interested in them. Because when you go to a networking meeting, and you're going to find it even here, when we have the music community built out, you're going to have producers and artists. You're going to have a lot of them here. And so you're going to have these same conversations with people. And when you ask them what they need, they're going to say, oh, I need a manager. I need a booking agent. I mean, it's going to be the same answers from the same category of people. But what you'll find is if you say, well, besides that, besides what you need team wise, what do you need next? And it could be that they need equipment. It could be that they need a songwriting partner, a co-writer, if it's in the music industry. And if it's in any other industry, there are probably things outside of a customer, which is what people always ask for, that they need. And so I try to dig deep into that. And the more you get them to talk about themselves, the more they trust you. You don't have to say a word other than that. I love to ask, how would I recognize the perfect connection for you? That's a huge question, because a lot of times, if somebody comes to me and says, I'm looking for somebody who owns an office building and needs cleaning services. Well, I mean, I know people who have office buildings. I know people who work in offices, but that's not specific enough for me. And so if they can come up with a way that I would recognize that somebody needs a cleaning service, well, if you walk into an office building and you notice that all the garbage cans are full, then that might be an example of somebody who needs a cleaning service. And so, the more you can dig into what they really need, the more they're going to want to know about, the more they're going to trust you. So you definitely want to have on the Spark something that's going to add to this, that's going to make it a lot easier, is if you click next to your name, you've got a profile there. And you want to make sure that you fill that out. There's a pencil there for you to edit it. And you want to make sure that you have that filled out, because it's going to make the networking a whole lot easier when anybody else can click on your profile first and learn exactly who you are. And you can do the same thing, and therefore you can be formulating some of those questions, some of those unusual questions that dig a little bit deeper when you see what somebody does. A lot of times in there, they'll also put what their second or third passion is or job, and you may want to tap into that as well. So that's something I'm going to recommend completely, is you fill out your bio. If I haven't figured out a way, I haven't looked to find a way, if you can attach a V card in there, that would be awesome. It's basically your business card. It's your digital business card here. Um, and make sure you put some links to your socials or to LinkedIn, to however your website, you want to have links in there. So when you go to talk to somebody, it's no longer a cold call in a sense, because you know exactly who they are. You can walk up to somebody and say, I noticed that you're in this industry. So am I, or that fascinates me. Would you like to sit? I mean, you can't sit down and have a cup of coffee, but would you like to come over here to the table? Because there's privacy zones all over the place. And if you're not familiar yet, the privacy zones are anytime you see a table or a booth or an area that is surrounded by a blue circle or a blue haze, some kind of a blue border, it means that only the people inside that area can hear each other. So when you're talking to somebody and you want to turn it from a public conversation into a private conversation, just ask them if they'd like to join you at the privacy area. That helps to build the trust, because they're very open to saying anything that they want to. And you're open to say anything that you want to, because other people aren't in there. I would also say, if somebody else is in a privacy area and they're talking to other people, one of the rules on here is going to be, definitely you want to be, aware of that, and you don't want to interrupt other people. It helps if you have your own um, 20-second elevator pitch. I stumbled there for a second, sorry. It helps if you have your own elevator pitch. And I'm going to give you a really quick formula for this. I like to say, you know how? And then I tell them a little bit about what the problem is that I solve. Well, what I do is, which means this is how I solve the problem. And then what I'm looking for is, and I'm going to tell them what I'm looking for. And I'll be very specific with that. So it's a very easy 3-step process. You know how? Well, what I do is, what I'm looking for is. So as a person involved with the Spark, it's like, how people are having trouble connecting with each other, that Zoom and other networking opportunities have totally taken the person to person, let's have a conversation type of relationship out of the picture. And it's very flat, it's very two-dimensional. Well, what I do is provide an opportunity, provide a networking solution for anyone who's feeling that kind of a fatigue of, they call it Zoom fatigue, that kind of a challenge where you're not making the connections that you really want to. What I'm looking for are people who feel the same way, that they are struggling with having to build their businesses in just an environment that is flat screened and would love to be in a 3D environment where they can actually build real relationships. So I could hone that a little bit, and it wouldn't take much, but you can keep it to 20 seconds, 30 seconds at the most, and then you can be quiet and let them ask the questions. It's really important. All three steps of these are really important, and I'll explain why. You know how. You're explaining a problem that people have. What you're trying to do is you're getting them to specifically think about the people that they know, or anybody that might be in this situation or have this problem. And um, I'll never forget, this was one of the most embarrassing things for me. I went to a networking event, and a gentleman came up to me and he handed me his business card, and he said that he was a Six Sigma black belt. And I walked away from there thinking that he was in martial arts. And Six Sigma is a process, it's an operational process where I guess it has to do with operational excellence. But for 6 months, I thought that he was in martial arts. And it's because I didn't know what his title was. I didn't know what his title meant. And so if he had said, how a lot of businesses have problems with their operations, they're not efficient and everything. Well, what I do is I fix that. Then I would be able to think right immediately in my head, oh, I know somebody that has mentioned that they're having that challenge. And then I would be able to refer them immediately. So how just it evokes an emotion rather than a flat picture. And that's really important when you start thinking about, okay, who has said this to me? Who is, in the music industry, it's like, okay, I'm looking for artists who are struggling to get their careers to the next level. Everybody in Nashville will know somebody. If I say that, everybody in Nashville says, well, I know a struggling artist who could probably use your help. That's as simple as it is. And what I do is I help people build their careers in the music industry. It's really cut and dry. And I'm specifically looking for somebody who said to you, I want to stay in music, but I'm struggling. I don't know how to make it work. I don't know how to make money at it. And in Nashville, everybody has heard that. So to me, there's a whole lot of validity behind being able to evoke that emotion, getting people to think rather than hearing the same thing over and over again. Well, how I'm a realtor and I sell houses, and so what I'm looking for is customers. That when you're in a networking situation and 20 other people are giving you the exact same pitch, are that's a challenge, because you can't build the same relationship with everybody. Again, you're looking at who can I trust, and whose trust do I need to earn? And you earn that by being, first of all, in this situation, you're being very simple and very specific about who you are, and you're asking more questions about them. And that's a really big piece of this. And I'm not sure exactly how deep we want to get on this. I don't know how long we want to talk, but I'm going to keep talking for a while because there's a lot to say here. Why do you want to be on the Spark and Network? Well, you can come here and you can be educated. No question about that. You can have fun. You can enjoy the games that we're going to be setting up. You can enjoy the recreational areas like the soccer field and the boats, and you can go hiking on the trails in the woods and everything if you want to do that. I love that. I love sitting, having my avatar up on a cliff and just looking out over the water and listening to the waves while I'm working. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do on here, but you're here to build relationships. And the more you understand the power of this platform in building relationships, and the fact that it's kind of jumps over a lot of the missing pieces right now. When you meet somebody on Zoom, it is usually a one-sided conversation. You're not interacting with each other. So you see somebody there that you would like to communicate with, but you don't have their information to be able to do that. Here, you have something totally different. Here, I can literally go up to somebody and say, and talk about them and what they're looking for and say, I know somebody you need to meet, and I can take them there right now. That is powerful. So I really want to, I'm getting an echo here. I really want to stress the fact that this is an amazing opportunity to go beyond what you can do in any other platform, and think of it as going to any other conference, any other networking event, and an association, if you want, any of those things that are not meeting right now. You can actually have, and you can start those kind of organizations, those kind of relationships then right here. So, some of the things that you can do to really help build your relationships here are, you could start a group. We're going to have members from all over the world, from all different industries and everything. And we'd have the ability to say, so and so you is starting a group on this particular interest, just like you would meetups. We could have virtual meetups, thousands of them. If you're familiar with Meetup, meetup.com, you can go on there, sign up for, and you want to meet people who like pottery, you want to meet people who like to go to films, you want to meet people who are in business, you want to meet people who are speakers and are helping each other, with their speaking. It's almost endless, the number of interests, political interests, religious interests, social interests, business interests that are represented on Meetup, especially if you're in a big town. And it's people getting together in person. Well, it's the same thing here. You can actually initiate those kind of groups here. I would definitely be, conscious of who I'm working with, or who I'm referring people to on here. The same as you would do in any other place. You want to do a little bit of background with them, but it's a different environment because you have the ability to take action right now on anything that you want to do. You can take the conversation, you can talk with somebody right now, take the conversation to a private Zoom call, or any other kind of chat. You can say, let's go have coffee if you're in the same area, same geographical area. You can immediately take that to another level. That's a lot harder to do if you meet somebody on LinkedIn. And I absolutely love LinkedIn. A lot of the connections that are involved in the Zoom and the speakers and stuff, they came from LinkedIn. They came from me reaching out to people. But there were more steps in between. Whereas here, I was on campus one day, and the executive director of the American film market came up to me and walked up to me because he saw I was in film and TV as well as music. And so we started a great relationship there. And then we took it to LinkedIn. We connected there, but we have talked since then. And it was that easy. It was just like building relationships somewhere else. So you can start your own groups to make connections. That's a really big thing. And they could be anything. They could be, political, religious, it doesn't matter. But obviously, when you're talking to somebody the first time out, you want to leave anything that's going to be controversial off the table. You don't want to lead with politics. You don't want to lead with religion. You don't want to lead with anything that is going to be controversial, because you'll turn people off right away. And that happens here, or it happens in person. It doesn't matter. But you do have the opportunity here to go deeper. When you're talking to somebody on Zoom, it's usually, or on LinkedIn, it's all very surface. And here you have the chance, you could sit with somebody for an hour and just talk about anything, talk about the vacations that you had, just get to know them. The more you dig in with people about their lives and what they really love, what they're passionate about, the more they love you, the more they trust you, because they feel like you're not just in sales mode. And I want to stress that being just in sales mode is not a good thing. Being in relationship building mode is the most important thing that you can do. You cannot survive in, especially in this climate right now with the COVID going on and everything. You can't survive without building relationships. You can't survive as an island in this climate, although this is actually an island. You can survive on the island, but you can't be an island. People are really craving relationships right now. They want those in-person relationships, and this is about as close as you're ever going to get right now. Um, we just found out that you can actually plug in your Oculus and have a full 3D experience on here, which just happened. But I think it's pretty amazing that that's where the world is going. Um, you got to realize a lot of people have upgraded their technology because of COVID. All ages are participating, all industries are participating. People are forgiving of people who aren't 100% tech savvy because people are getting caught up here and everything. And so you can reach people online now that you could never reach before. And that's a critical thing because not everybody who I wanted to reach out to was on LinkedIn. So I had to try to dig and find another way to reach those people. Here, you're going to find people you like, again, you just can walk up to them and build that relationship immediately. And if you're new to using the controls on here on how to move around the campus and you're walking a little drunk, they're going to laugh at it. It's because everybody's doing it. So it's not a matter of having to be embarrassed about that. Um, it's a very forgiving environment because there are so many new people on here. They it's going to be a whole lot easier to reach those senior level executives on here because they're going to want to be here too. And what we're building, you got to understand, what we're building is literally a 24-hour a day, 7-day a week global community. Okay, so what that means is that you could be wide awake at 3 o'clock in the morning and you get on here and there may be people from Australia or from Europe or from the Philippines, anywhere from a different time zone, as well as people who are here in the States or in North America. It's going to be that kind of a global environment. We have speakers from all over the world that are going to be in here in these next 20 days. It is an environment that will allow you to tap into anyone and anything that you want to tap into. And you can invite other people to become a member. And, membership is going to be, we've got a $19 a month membership and a $49 a month membership. And then there'll be special events on top of that. But for $19 a month, which is cheaper than a pro LinkedIn, actually $49 is cheaper than a pro LinkedIn membership. You can be here and building relationships. So I just want to encourage you. The key to this place is literally to just be yourself, be personable, understand that people are here to network. They want to be educated. They want to get to know you. You do want to go to the courses and the workshops and the seminars that we have, but attend the networking events. We will do formal networking events as well as open networking events where you can actually, it's designed to get you to meet more people. And we've got games that you can participate in that are designed to get you to meet more people, to get you to just feel more comfortable in the whole location. And then the last thing I would say is, get involved. If there's a way that you can get involved, if there's a way that you can be a leader and take the lead on creating a group or getting a group of people together who need to meet each other, even, it could be that simple. That's a major way that you can build people's trust. We are going to have you'll see, as you walk around the campus or as you get around, you see that we have a lot of office space here, over 200 offices, and a lot of them are going to be allocated to nonprofits and in all different industries. And volunteering with a nonprofit is a great way to network with people, and you'll be able to do that right here. So just understand that you're here for the same, or everybody else is here for the same reason you are. And they wouldn't be here if they didn't want to make connections. And so take that when you really get that ingrained in you, it takes away the fear of walking up to anybody else and connecting with them, because they are here for the same reason. And if you're professional about it, if you're asking them about them, get to know them, they will start to trust you a whole lot more. You can take the conversation from a simple, it's nice to meet you, to a private, more in-depth conversation if you want to. You don't have to jump right into business. I would not be in sales mode on here. It's more about relationships than it is about sales. The sales will happen, there's no question, but it's all about the relationships. And the more you concentrate on the relationships, the more you feel, the more you understand the other people that are on here, the more valuable you're going to be to them, and the more valuable they're going to be to you, because everyone will start making those connections for each other. This will be a huge, huge network where everybody is intertwined, because everybody knows what everybody else is doing. And so there's no reason to say, well, I don't know somebody who can help you, because chances are you've met somebody on here. And so I just encourage you to be open, be professional, and don't be afraid to talk to other people. Just get involved in any way you can, and I guarantee you, you're going to have an amazing experience here. Thank you. Do we have any questions?
I put a couple in the chat room.
Okay.
But I have a non-profit here as a booth in the one of the exhibition halls. So I'm interested in obviously what you do here, but also the other costs of having a booth regularly at your events.
Okay, we are actually in the process of putting those packages together, because there's a lot of ways to do it. Some of the events are going to be ours. We are also entertaining other offers, people who want to come on here and have their events on here, and of course they would have their particular costs that they would charge for that. But for the most part, what we're looking at are either individual events that would want that have a trade show going, or we're also looking at having an ongoing trade show. So anybody who comes on here at any given time can walk into one of the expos, and it'll be like walking into a mall. And so I can make sure that you get that information. We will probably have that by the end of this week. That's something we've been working on and putting some packages together. But on an event by event basis, it's definitely going to be if it's just one event, each event is going to have its own pricing. So I wish I can give you a blanket one.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, but
it's mainly for the non-profit. I've got actually two booths here. I've got one as a business that we are speaking at the time, but we also have a non-profit here, and that's what I'm interested in, because my non-profit itself, we train first responders, and we have because of COVID, we actually donate PPE to first responders, veterans, those in need, which is why we have that booth here for this next 20 days.
Awesome. That's awesome.
So trying to find out maybe about one of your offices or something.
Do you know Tony Bodo?
Yes, I do. No, well, not personally.
Okay, well, now you do. Because he's, and you definitely want to talk to him, because he's helping to put those packages together and doing all the pricing. And as nonprofits, I mean, we will have special pricing for nonprofits. So I would definitely talk to him.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be perfect.
Awesome. Any other questions, comments?